Welcome to Practically Political. It's great to have you with us again. I'm Dave Spencer.
And I'm Carrie Sheffield. Great to have you all. Let's get to it. Dave, my question for you. So looking back at the tape to March 6th, Nikki Haley exits, but she declines to endorse Trump. And word on the street is that she is no closer to doing that today than she was on that day. And there's the Biden campaign put out some data showing that there's a substantial chunk of the GOP electorate that voted for Nikki, and they don't plan to vote for Trump. So my question to you is, do you think there's anything that Trump can do to win over these Nikki Haley voters?
Well, I would say there are some things that he can do, but he seems determined not to do any of them. And I think we could probably agree on this, whether you're a Trump supporter or not. I haven't seen one outreach that he's done to bring in a single voter who didn't vote for him in 2020. And I think that's a real problem. Biden is actually trying, now we can debate how effective it's being, to bring in other voters. And because I think the biggest parallel is all those voters that voted non-committed with Biden, remember? I think it's a similar thing. And a lot of that was most intense in Michigan, obviously, because it was in opposition to the war for the heavy Arab American population there. But I would say, yeah, I think Trump can, but he has no desire. And I would love, this is one thing where I'm a little flummoxed, Carrie, and I'd love your insight as a Trumpster or at least a Trump supporter. And that is, what's the rush or the risk of trying to reach out to other voters? Because there are some voters that are going to leave. There's a risk if he's convicted that he's going to lose some voters. We can talk about the trial later, but why isn't he reaching out to more voters? Because I agree with you. I think in the end, this going to be such a close election where there's at least another couple percentage of voters he could get.
Well, I think I agree he should do more. And I think these trials have been distracting him. But I think he has done something big, which is that he's actually taken a step back on abortion to the point where Susan B. Anthony's List, which is the top pro-life group, came out and criticized him because he refused to back a federal bill or some federal statement against abortion and said it should go back to the states. And then he also came out against the Arizona abortion law that, has been so controversial. So to see both him and Carrie Lake, both of them took some hits by the conservatives to say, oh, they're backpedaling, they're siding with the pro-abortion side. So I think he's done that to some extent. I think the bigger problem that just structurally the GOP is totally asleep at the wheel is mail-in balloting and early voting. So I was talking to a friend of mine who's from Pennsylvania, and she was saying that in their primaries that they just had, that the turnout for Democrats was much higher. And a lot of that had to do with early voting, because you could early vote in the primary as well as you can for the general.
And who's crapped on early voting more than anybody?
And she knows Trump, and she's been trying to hammer that drum, but he's listening to people like Mike Lindell, and it's like, who are you going to listen to, Mike Lindell or someone who's actually done the turnout? And
throw in Michael Flynn and you're all set. And you got Roger Stone, you got that great cast of wonderful characters. Well, the abortion thing, I would just say, I think if there's any issue where Trump can have his cake and eat it too, and I hate to give him credit for this, but it's right, it's abortion, because he can take a more conservative opinion, as he did. I remember when he was on Meet the Press last fall, he went after Ron DeSantis' 6-week ban in Florida. Remember, said it was a terrible thing. And people can get on him, but then he can say, hey, who got rid of Roe versus Wade? It was I. So I think he does have some room to wiggle on now. And now, having said that, he definitely ate some crow when he said it should be up to the states. And of course, Arizona goes back to the Civil War. And that's the problem with a lot of these states, is that even though the legislature in in Arizona is very close, I think it's only 1 or 2 seats in each chamber, the Supreme Court's very conservative. So he was in a pickle, and Carrie Lake, same thing. She had to pull a total of 180. So I think it's a challenging issue for Republicans. Do I think it's going to be as much of a motivator as it was in the midterm? And the special elections, no. And I think the Democrats need to be careful of that because they may be putting too much weight in a dog that's not going to hunt that well, if you will. But I do think that Trump can do a lot of stuff. He could just tone down the rhetoric, and he could come to Nikki Haley voters without even changing positions and just say, hey, this is a big tent. What's this a binary choice here? If you're a Republican, I'm sorry, I haven't done anything you want, but do you want Joe Biden? And he's just not doing that. It's almost like a stubbornness. Like he can't, again, it's sort of admitting that you're wrong or taking some kind of accountability. And as we know, that's not one of Donald Trump's long suits.